Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching my presentation and connected online to Riga Aviation Forum. Latvia has a great success dealing with this disease. Officially, crisis situation declared by Latvian state at the 12th of March has been terminated. And in daily life, we are much more relaxed, less limited by the governmental decisions to compare to other European countries. But can we say the same about aviation? Definitely not. We have most strict rules that limiting aviation connections. Challenges still are in front of us. We still are in the middle of the perfect storm. Unfortunately, we are in front of new lockdown of the industry. We are scared from possibilities of new COVID wave. By this reason, already we have initiated discussions with the Latvian government about more flexible and more progressive approach for international air travels. Just before this forum, Latvia Aviation Association has an accomplished study about impact of COVID-19 to aviation industry in Latvia. 20 leading aviation companies were invited for structured interviews. Financial, operational, analytical data are collected and will be presented today. It is notable that 83% of aviation stakeholders are badly damaged by COVID consequences. You may ask, who are the rest? It is obvious that the cargo and logistic companies are less damaged. They're still flying, there was no interruption, but they still are under significant pressure of the risks related to the future challenges. Like tourism industry, aviation is most damaged due to the COVID-19. Latvia were among the countries totally shut down commercial passenger traffic. For the period of time, more than 2 months, companies involved in serving the traffic, passengers and aircrafts, were idle. This case a total drop of the revenues for the industry. So, outcome of this first half of the year is reduced number of passengers, reduced number of commercial passenger flights, disrupted logistic chains, dramatic decrease in jet fuel price. Actually, purchase price exceeds sales price even today. And last but not least, reduction of demand due to the movement and meeting restrictions. From previous studies, we have calculated that 1% change of aviation sector has direct impact of national GDP by 6.3 million euro. Unfortunately, within a quite optimistic scenario is that the aviation in Latvia will shrink by more than 46%. That is equal about 290 million euros of our national GDP. In addition, there is indirect, inducted and catalytic effects to the state economical performance. In this case, we can talk about even a 1 billion euro negative effect on GDP only by this year. Not only businesses are suffering, reduction of the industry case reduction of labor force also. This is a factor of high risk of the country in general. Because when we return to the growth, our limitations can be training of new staff. Our young generation is very mobile. They will not wait for better times. They will just pack their luggage and leave our country. Argumentations that crisis is all over the world will not save us, as we are talking about well-trained and highly skilled persons. That definitely is a factor need to be considered strategically at the level of our leadership. Luckily, we are optimists. 54% of the industry are confident that recovery will be possible in between year 2021 and 2023. Unfortunately, it is almost impossible to have more precise forecasts. Within our research, we rely on previous experience and knowledge. We are sure that any and each crisis is tended to the end. This crisis is unique by structure and by consequences. Almost only external conditions affecting the recovery of the industry. Therefore, let's wait for the vaccine. As noted in previous slide, industry itself has its confidence about the future. Only 11% of the companies has feeling that they will not return into the market by full amount. At the same time, 11% of the industry considering this crisis as an opportunity for improvements and more rapid development. However, to be frank, backbone of Latvian aviation industry depends on performance of Air Baltic and Riga airport in combination with a high proportion of transit passengers. We need to support this. On this slide, we can see the actions taken by the business to survive in these turbulent times. 11% has not defined its actions within our survey, but generally there are two directions. One, there's searching for new sources of incomes, searching for new businesses, and second one is adaptation to the outside pressure. It is clear to define that these private companies with more diverse businesses have less impact from pandemics. For us, we're quite surprised that only 33% of the companies have cancelled or reduced their investments, and only 6% of companies are planning to shrink their assets. That means industry is fighting hard for future performance. Now, let's talk about other aspects affecting us via this crisis. Most negative is the actual limitations of international traffic. Latvia is a small country, and we don't have an internal market for air travels. Second one is arising from the first restrictions, as flights are limited and other modes of transport can arise. In result, passengers who would still consider Riga for their destination would be forced to use neighbor countries for their flights and later use a road to reach Latvia without following health monitoring restrictions. Special attention I would like to address to aggressive pricing in some cases. It may be even unfair competitive practices, but in a crisis situation, all actions are good if they can help us, not others. As CEO of SmartLinks Airlines told to Riga Aviation Forum Journal, no friends will remain. We are in front of Hunger Games in aviation industry. It's so true. Initially, at earlier stage of this crisis, the government decisions caused a lot of confusions, as it wasn't clear who will be supported and who wouldn't. We are lucky that our backbone has secured and will continue its operations at even better shape than before. But we must not forget about private sector in aviation. They have still significant role within aviation ecosystem. Damages and unequal treatment of supply chain and service providers can cause slower development for national flag companies. By this reason, we did send an open letter to Latvian government, require individual approach as for the travel industry were developed individually tailored state support schemes. Aviation needs the same. There is no solution that fits all needs. We are open for discussions and we hope for support. Special treatment is required also for aviation labor force. If we will lose core of our staff, we will be less competent and more expensive to operate same services to compare with others in the region. State aid for idle support needs to be restored, but it needs to be oriented for continue daily operations, not to stop. Good sample is the same regulation in Germany. Special attention would like to address to our financial sector. Who can dream about positive EBITDA or profit margins at the financial statements for now? At the same time, companies who has used financial services for their investments and development in the past are linked to liquidity criterions. Without hawk-eye on the bank's performances, we can easily be put under predatory treatments and raiding by financial institutions. We don't need to allow to kill or cancel companies who will survive in this crisis, but their debts for some period of time will increase in line with negative financial coefficients. Last but not least, due to the different policies of the Baltic states, white and red countries, testing, quarantine, there are extremely difficult flying options. On my opinion, this poses a risk that airlines might decide to fly to Vilnius or Tallinn instead of Riga. And actually some negative trends like this can already be seen. So, as noted earlier, there is a lot of challenges in front of us, and we need to have transparent discussion in between all stakeholders. Only together we are strong and can bypass this crisis. Thank you and hope you enjoy this event.